Do you think you have the math skills to solve this basic math word problem? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that is to try to solve the problem, which is the following. What speed in miles per hour does a car have to go to cover 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes? Okay, so this is the problem, but we do have a multiple choice question here, and all these answers right here are in miles per hour. Okay, so our options are A, 61 miles per hour, B, 73.6 miles per hour, C, 92 miles per hour, and D, 112 miles per hour. Okay, now feel free to use a calculator, but if you have the answer, put that into the comment section. I'll share the correct answer in just 1 second. Then, of course, I want to walk through and solve this problem step by step. But before we get started, let me quickly introduce myself. My name is John, and I have been teaching middle and high school math for decades. And if you need help learning math, check out my math help program at tcmathacademy.com. You can find a link to that in the description below. And if this video helps you out, or if you just enjoy this content, make sure to like and subscribe, as that definitely helps me out. All right, so let's take another look at this question before I show you the answer. And what we're talking about here really is basic mathematics, but you do need to know one formula, and that's a bit of a hint. So the question again is, what speed in miles per hour does a car have to go to cover 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes? All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at the correct answer. The correct answer is D, 112 miles per hour. Now, if you got this right, you definitely get a happy face and an A plus. Congratulations on your ability to solve a basic math word problem. But if you're like, hey, Mr. YouTube Math Man, I was just not smart enough to solve this problem. Well, that's not true. Everyone watching this video is indeed smart enough to solve this problem. That's never the issue when it comes to mathematics. Okay, people, can do far better in math than oftentimes they think they can. But what you need to do is simply learn the topics, the skills, the formulas, etc., etc. And that's what we're going to go ahead and get into right now. And we're going to just take this one step at a time. But for those of you out there that are still math students and have to take math exams, you might be saying, that's me used to, Mr. YouTube Math Man. Well, unfortunately, some of us out there don't have to take exams, but unfortunately, if you are a student, no one likes to take tests or exams. Well, maybe a few people do, but let's suppose you encountered a question like this on a math test and you're like, I have no idea what to do here. Well, we have a multiple choice question, all right? So take a guess. And some of you out there, like I was way back in high school, I was a certified professional expert in guessing. I would just be like, I don't know, A looks pretty good to me, and move on to the next question. But in this case, you can really take a nice educated guess if you think about it. So if you're going to take a guess, try to eliminate any answers that are just not reasonable. Right? And you can see here that these two answers are not reasonable. Now, why is that? Well, here, again, our answers are in miles per hour. I didn't write in the miles per hour. I just didn't want to make this A, B, C, and D little chart here or layout too big. So that's why I didn't put it in. But these are in miles per hour. Now the question is, what speed does a car have to go to cover 150 miles, right? So this car is trying to cover 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes. So a little bit over 1 hour. Now here, okay, if we look at our answers, 61 miles per hour, right? Well, let's just think about what this means, miles per hour. If my car goes 60 miles per hour, how many miles will I cover in 1 hour? Well, hopefully it's obvious, right? You're going to go 60 miles in 1 hour. That's what 60 miles per hour means. So here we have 61 miles per hour. Let's just kind of round this off to 60, okay? So in 1 hour, you're going to cover 60 miles. In 2 hours, you're going to cover 120 miles. So you're not even going to cover this 150 miles in 2 hours, let alone 1 hour and 20 minutes. So this is far too slow to cover 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Now we can take a look at this answer right here, 73.6 miles per hour, and we can use this same logic. Now let's just kind of round this off to 70 miles per hour. That means we're going to cover 70 miles in 1 hour or 140 miles in 2 hours, right? So we're just going to double this. Again, even in 2 hours, we're not going to be able to cover 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. So these two are far too slow. And then you could just use your intuition and common sense and think to yourself, boy, 150 miles, that's a pretty far distance to cover in 1 hour and 20 minutes. 20 minutes. You need to be going pretty fast. So these two answers right here would seem reasonable. Now, of course, D is the right answer. But even if we didn't have a multiple choice question, the best strategy is always to just know the math. And that's what we're going to go ahead and get into right now is the mathematics to solve this problem. Now, as I indicated, there is a formula that we need to know, and it's a relationship between speed, time, and distance. I'll talk about that in just 1 second. But we do have a math word problem. Okay, so it's always good to do two things when you're dealing with a math word problem. The first thing is use the rule of three. Read the problem at least 3 times to really make sure you understand the information in the problem and the question. And the next thing is that you want to do in all word problems is try to model the information, visualize it in some way, because if you can see the problem, oftentimes you can see the solution. So I'm going to go ahead and model the problem in this manner right here. Okay, so here is my lovely car, and I want to know how fast, okay, in miles per hour, what speed in miles per hour does this car need to travel to cover 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes? So this is effectively the question, and even if I showed you this right here, most people can figure out, oh, okay, I need to determine what speed the car needs to go to cover 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, so what is the different types of information that we have here? Well, we're dealing with speed. Okay, so the question's asking about speed, and of course, in miles per hour. We do have time over here, and of course, we have distance. So we need some sort of formula to determine the relationship between distance, time, and speed, or to understand the relationship between distance, time, and speed. And I'm going to show you a formula here that you absolutely must know. Okay, and if you don't know this formula, you definitely want to put it into your long-term memory. So first of all, before I show you this formula, let's talk about speed. All right, so here is the speed of the car. There is another fancy word for speed, and that is rate. Okay, so if I can, or if I said, what is the rate of the vehicle? Well, the rate of the vehicle here may be like 55 miles per hour. All right, so just a quick review of a rate as compared to a ratio, and I just simply can't help myself as a math teacher to make sure you understand this. So we're going to think of speed as this word right here, rate. Okay, and there's other words that have some real specific definitions like velocity for those of you that understand physics and whatnot. But when you hear this word rate, what is the rate of the vehicle? Typically people think, oh, that's how fast the vehicle is going or the speed of a vehicle. Now, in mathematics, a rate, okay, for example, 60 miles per hour, this is the speed of, let's say, a car or the rate of the vehicle. Now, what makes this a rate? Well, we can write 60 miles per hour in this manner. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase this here because I'm trying to make a very important point. So 60 miles per hour is equal to 60 miles per 1 hour. Okay, this is what we call a rate in mathematics. And this fraction bar is the word per. Okay, if you have something and you're using the word to, like one teacher to 20 students, this is a ratio. Okay, and I'll explain why here in just 1 second. So 60 miles per hour is a rate in mathematics. Now, why is that? Because we have a fraction where the numerator and denominator are completely different units of measure. So here, what we're doing is we're comparing distance, okay, in miles to time. All right, so distance to time. So when you're counting two completely different units of measure and you have a fraction and you're comparing this in a fraction like 60 miles per every 1 hour, this is a rate. Now, if you have a fraction where the numerator and denominator are the same units of measure, okay, so for example, one teacher to 20 students. This is a ratio, and you'll know that it's a ratio because you're using the word to, okay? So one teacher to 20 students. Now, some of you might be saying, hey, Mr. YouTube Math Man, you know, this is not right because you're comparing teacher and students. They're different units of measure. Well, no. What we're doing here is counting people. And to your chagrin, teachers are people too, right? We're counting human beings here. So one human being to 20 human beings. So sometimes it's not quite obvious that you're dealing with a ratio or a rate, but it's very important that you understand the difference between these two. And there's another related topic called proportions. All right, so this is really important that you understand this. Now let's get back to the solution. Okay, so here we have a vehicle, we want to know the rate of it or the speed in miles per hour, and we have time and we have distance. So we need a formula that gives us a relationship between rate, time, and distance. And here is the formula that you need to know. Okay, so rate times time is equal to distance. You absolutely 100% need to know this formula. And it's a pretty simple formula, but what gets people in trouble here is working with the units of measure. So let me go ahead and explain this right now. So rate, okay, or speed, right, times time is equal to distance. Now, we're talking about the rate of this car in miles per hour. So this is miles, okay, per hours, all right, miles per hour. So what is the distance? Well, the distance is in miles, and what is the time? It's in hours. So to use this formula, rate times time is equal to distance, your rate or your speed has to be, or well, it doesn't have to be in miles per hour, but if it is in miles per hour, then your time has to be in hours, okay? Your time has to be in hours, and your distance must be in miles. So if you're given a problem and it kind of goes to something like this, let me just kind of make something up. Here is our car. It's going 60 miles per hour, and you want to know how long will it take for that car to travel, let's say 900 feet. Well, here's the deal, okay? You need to convert these feet in the feet into miles, right? So you need to convert units of measure, and then you'll get your time in hours, right? So you want to make sure that all your units are the same, right? So the best way to know that is to look at your rate, okay? If you want your rate or your speed in miles per hour, well, then you have to have miles as your distance and hours as your time. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense. And now let's go ahead and apply all this knowledge to the problem. So we're looking for the rate. Okay, we're looking for the rate of this vehicle. And this car is going to travel 150 miles in 1 hour and 20 minutes. So our time is 1 hour and 20 minutes. Our distance, again, is 150 miles. So we're looking for miles per hour. So do we have our distance in miles? Indeed, we do. And so that part of the problem is okay. And now, how about our time? Is our time in hours? Well, not entirely. Okay, we have 1 hour and 20 minutes. So we have 1 hour, but we don't have 1 hour and 20 minutes completely expressed in hours only. So we're going to have to go ahead and fix this right here and do some quick conversion, and then we can apply this formula and then solve the problem. Okay, so again, here is the formula. Rate times time is equal to distance. And if you think you can do this now, right? If you're like, hey, Mr. YouTube Math Man, I get it. We'll pause the video and do the rest of the work. Again, feel free to use a calculator. But let's go ahead and take the next step, which of course is having you quickly subscribe to my YouTube channel. Now, don't you just love the way I kind of stop and throw this in every one of my videos? Well, I do that because this is very important to me. You see, I have a goal to help as many people as I possibly can in math. And because I feel so passionate about my goal, I have no problem asking for help, right? So I'm very determined. And if you need help in mathematics, or if your goal is to pass your class with flying colors, well, oftentimes you need to go get help, right? For me, I need your help to reach as many people as possible on YouTube. And specifically, what I need you to do is to hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell as well. But that's what I want to do. Okay, I want to reach as many people as possible. But what do you want to do? Okay, well, you're watching this video. Either you need help in math or you're just interested in mathematics, and that is fantastic. But here is the deal: if you really want to improve in math, not only do you need help, you need to kind of set a vision for yourself, and it needs to be big, right? And if you're kind of thinking to yourself, "Oh, all I want to do is pass my class with a C minus," well, that's not high enough goal. Okay, even if you don't like math or if you struggle with mathematics, I'm telling you right now, you can do really, really well in math. So set your goals high and really, kind of invest in learning the subject. All right, if you're going to have to take a math class and pass it, just kind of really immerse yourself in the subject. And I'm going to tell you right now, great things will happen. Now, real quick before we move on to the rest of the problem, if you need, full-on comprehensive math help, excuse me, check out my full main math courses. You can find links to those in the description of this video. And kind of what we're talking about here is basic math, stuff that you would kind of learn in like pre-algebra. Or you may want to check out, I'm going to leave links to these courses in the description, my Math Skills Rebuilder course. All right, so thanks for giving me a little bit of time to explain why I do what I do. And now let's get back to the problem. Okay, so rate times time is equal to distance. My rate is going to be in miles per hour. So I'm saying, all right, my time needs to be in hours and my distance needs to be in miles. All right, so my distance is 150 miles, so I'm good there. My rate is what I'm looking for, and my time needs to be in hours. So what is my given time? 1 hour and 20 minutes. So I'm going to have to convert this minute part right here into 1 hour. So what is 1 hour and 20 minutes as an hour, okay, or only in hours? Well, all we have to do is convert that 20 minutes into an hour. And some of you can just say, oh, that's 1/3 of an hour, and that is fantastic. But how do we convert minutes to hours? Well, we need to use something called a conversion factor. All right, so for every 1 hour, there is 60 minutes. This is a conversion factor right here. Now, I could also write this conversion factor this way, 60 minutes to 1 hour, okay? This is perfectly fine. There's 60 minutes in 1 hour, or there's 1 hour in 60 minutes. Now, I'm going to use this conversion factor for a very specific reason, and that is we're going to be multiplying fractions, 20 minutes or 20 minutes over 1 times 1 hour over 60 minutes. And what I want to do is get rid of minutes and only end up with hours. So I have minutes here in the denominator and minutes here in the numerator. These cross cancel and I'm left with hours. All right, so if you're kind of confused on which conversion factor to use, i.e. like, should I use 60 minutes to 1 hour or 1 hour to 60 minutes? Well, use the one where your units of measure are going to cross out, right? So in other words, here, again, we want to get rid of minutes and we're going to be left with hours. Okay, so 20 times 1 over 60, and we're going to be left with hours is what? Well, 20 times 1 is 20. 1 times 60 is 60. So we have 20 over 60. Of course, we can reduce this down to 1/3, and our units of measure is hour, or hours, excuse me. Okay, so our time now is what? Well, we have 1 hour and 20 minutes, but that 20 minutes is 1/3 of an hour. So our time in all hours is 1 and 1/3 hours. Okay, so now we can go ahead and do the algebra to solve the problem. Okay, so our time now is 1 and 1/3 hours. Our distance is 150 miles. We're looking for the rate in miles per hour. Okay, so let's just go ahead and plug in the information. So our time again is 1 and 1/3. Our distance is 150, and we don't have to worry about the units of measure now because we've already kind of set that up. And we know our rate is going to be in miles per hour. Okay, so here we have a basic algebra equation. R times this is equal to 150. This is like a very basic algebra equation, like 2x is equal to 10, right? So we have the variable here, R, You could write this r behind this. Now remember, our formula is rate times time is equal to distance, but what we need to do to solve for the variable is divide both sides of the equation by the number or coefficient in front of the variable. And in this case, it's 1 1/3. All right, so what is 1 1 1/3? Well, this is a mixed number fraction, so let's go ahead and convert it to an improper fraction. So that's 3 times 1 is 3 plus 1 is 4. So we have 4/3, right? So 1 1/3 is the same thing as 4/3 times r. All right, so that's going to be equal to 150. So to solve for r, the easiest thing to do here is to multiply both sides of the equation by the reciprocal, okay? So the reciprocal is simply the fraction turned upside down, so that's 3 over 4. Now, when we multiply 3 over 4 times 4/3, what are we going to get? Well, this is going to be 3 times 4 is 12, and 4 times 3 is 12. 12 over 12 is 1, so we're going to end up with 1r, or just r. But remember the golden rule in algebra, and that is whatever you do to one side of the equation, you have to do the exact same thing to the other. So what we're doing here is multiplying the left-hand side by 3/4. So we have to multiply the right-hand side by 3/4 as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish this up. So this is going to be 150 times 3/4. So 150 times 3/4 is what? Well, 150, again, you can think of this as a fraction. Let me go ahead and erase this here. So 150 times 3 is 450, and then 1 times 4 is 4. 450 divided by 4 is 112. So we have 112 what? Well, remember our rate. We already set this problem up to be in miles per hour. So the correct answer is 112 miles per hour. Okay, so again, the main idea here is to not only understand formulas that you may need in mathematics, and this formula right here is an absolute must. If you're going to remember any formula, this has got to be on the top of your list. But it's not just remembering the formula, like rate times time is equal to distance. Most importantly is knowing how to work with units of measure. It really does you no good to know the formula if you don't know how to work with the units of measure. But hopefully you got something out of this problem if you didn't get it right. And if you're like, hey, Mr. YouTube Math Man, this was an easy problem, well, that is fine. But I do have much more or a lot more challenging math problems or math word problems on my YouTube channel. So hopefully you subscribe and stay tuned. But anyways, hopefully this little video helped you out. And if that's the case, don't forget to, again, like and subscribe. And with that being said, I definitely wish you all the best in your math adventures. Thank you for your time and have a great day.